You're listening to another episode of the Just Go Bike podcast, powered by RAGBRAI. This is the award-winning podcast where we are all about the culture of cycling, just for the fun of it. Your hosts are Murph from the Murphology podcast and AP from Parrot Talk. With tales from all over the nation, come for the bikes, stay for the fun, and leave with a smile. And now here is Murph.
Hey, that's me.
And AP.
Hey, that's me.
Hi, Murph.
AP.
I am so excited to be talking to you because I know that you have just returned from your most recent bike adventure. Will you tell the listeners all about it?
Yes, I am back from, it's definitely an epic bike adventure. I was in Moab, Utah, doing an event called the Skinny Tire Festival. So it was a 4-day bike ride. And the reason it's called Skinny Tire is because it's not a mountain bike event. You're actually on streets, highways, normal roads.
That's cool because you're also, from the photos I've seen, you are riding through, I don't know if it's actually mountains, but like a canyonland type area.
Oh, yeah. The elevation was crazy.
Any highlights stand out besides the elevation?
Oh, man. So many. I would say most notable, I think, was climbing up through Arches National Park. I'm sure everybody is familiar with Arches National Park, but those rock formations are so breathtaking. With about 4,000 feet of climbing that day, I had plenty of time to think about how the heck those were formed.
Wow, it's a gorgeous. I've been there myself, although not on a bike.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, jaw-dropping, beautiful. You're not in Iowa anymore.
Oh my gosh, that's for sure. Yeah. And also I will note, like on the last day, we rode along the Colorado River on a road called Potash Road, which fun fact, I learned what potash is. It's something that is mined for like fertilizer.
Yeah.
It's either called potash or potash. Do you know?
I don't know, but I think you sound great when you say it the way you said it.
Okay, so I may be wrong on the pronunciation. But anyway, there along that road, it was a really low traffic road, and there were some cool petroglyphs on the rocks. So we're talking like, millions of years ago, ancient, I guess you call them carvings or drawings on rocks. So it was so cool.
Wow. It's just so crazy to see stuff like that that's just out in the open from people who existed before. I can hardly imagine.
Yeah.
So long ago.
It is crazy. And then, we there were like 14 of us that all went from Iowa to Utah. And we, had just crazy conversations about like, so were these just like, kids playing around and drawing, or were they actual symbols, or like is it graffiti, or what the heck is it? So it was cool.
I'm going with meaningful symbols, but they could be graffiti. We don't know, or at least I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And along the same road, there were a lot of people that were rock climbing. So that was pretty cool to see as well. So yeah.
Next time we're going to get you up on the rocks.
I highly doubt that. But
I don't even know why I said it. I know you would never.
But the website is skinnytireevents.com. You can check out this specific event, but they also have other events that they put on. So it's kind of cool.
Was this your first time cycling in Utah?
It was not. I did a hut to hut where I was actually on a mountain bike and much more remote, rugged, hike-a-bike type thing. So it was nice to explore Utah in a different way.
Cool. Yeah. On a skinny tire bike this time.
Yeah. Which technically I was on my road bike, but I have bigger tires on it because I just, my days of like a true skinny tire are over, I believe. So it was nice to be on a lighter bike than I'm used to, but
yeah. Well, never say never before you get rid of the skinny tires, but
exactly.
All right. Well, so let's get back and let's focus and let's talk about today's episode because it's a really cool one this week.
It is really cool. So today, Eric Dolash is on to talk about a really cool project he's been working on.
So listeners, you may recall last year on the RAGBRAI route, several towns along the way had hosted the organization that Eric's associated with. I believe I saw him working in Applington right before Parkersburg on the route. And Eric and his team find veteran homes along the route where they install, and they do it beyond RAGBRAI too, but on RAGBRAI, they're on the route and they install flagpoles in veterans' yards.
Yeah, so he has a nonprofit called Veteran Flagpole Initiative, and he's on a mission to fund and install flagpoles into veterans' yards at no cost. And he's going to tell us a little bit about it. I looked on his website right before we started recording, and I believe he's up to 188 veterans' homes that he's visited and installed flagpoles,
Wow.
which is really cool.
Yeah, that is really neat. I love this program. There's something about a flagpole that really completes a home, and especially for a veteran, the home of a veteran. And this is just really special to do really anything for veterans where they don't have any cost associated with it. If you'd like to learn more about the program, you can go to veteranflagpoles.org, and there's all sorts of information there and photos and things. You can learn all about it beyond what Eric's about to tell you.
Yeah, so Eric's going to tell us a little bit more about it, including his goals for RAGBRAI this coming year. And we're not going to spoil it, but AP and I know what these goals are, and pretty darn cool.
Yes, and as a RAGBRAI writer, you just might have the opportunity to be involved in his goals and what they have planned for RAGBRAI 53.
All right, let's get to it. A very nice welcome to Eric Dolash. Hey, Eric.
How you doing tonight?
Good. It's nice to have you on the podcast, too. I mean, your story is pretty amazing. I'm sure RAGBRAI writers saw a bit of you, and if they didn't, they are in for a treat.
Yeah, it was, we jumped onto the scene, did a little bit of a splash last year, but kind of on the heels of that success, I think we want to refine and kind of see what else we're capable of this year. So definitely looking forward to it.
And a bigger splash, so to speak.
Correct. Yes.
Okay,
exactly.
Before we get into the Veteran Flagpole Initiative, will you tell the listeners where you're from, where you live, and what cycling is like there?
Sure. So I'm originally from Sigourney, Iowa. So that's been a RAGBRAI hotspot a couple times over the years. So that's where I grew up, Southeast Iowa. And down there, I wouldn't say cycling is really a prominent thing, but biking is. Like, we spent our whole childhood growing up jumping on Huffies and Treks, and that's just how we got around our town everywhere, right? So, a lot of biking, but, in terms of like cycling, the way you see it on RAGBRAI, I don't really recall a footprint like that. Growing up, we had there was a guy who lives in Sigourney, and anybody who's driven through Sigourney, certainly anybody who lives there would know exactly who I'm talking about. But there's a gentleman there who owns it used to be a gas station, but you would think that maybe RAGBRAI parked out in front of this guy's location, because there's like no shortage of, there's like 10,000 bikes that he's always working on. So if you ever needed a bike, that was the guy you went to. But yeah, it was kind of funny because none of us ever really grew up, cycling the way that you see it with, RAGBRAI and kind of the sport as the way it's evolved. So,
well, if I remember Sigourney, you probably were surrounded by gravel. So, I mean, you might have been taking those Huffies on some gravel.
Oh, it was, And then you ran into the unfortunate situation when one of your buddies lived 3 miles out in the country, and you were on that gravel the entire time. So, I mean, it's not so conducive to becoming like a professional cyclist later in life. That's for sure.
Right. Well, luckily, you do not have to become a professional cyclist, right?
Right. Yeah, that's out of my domain at this point. For sure.
Well, as AP and I mentioned, I don't know if you're actually the founder, but you are part of what's called the Veteran Flagpole Initiative. And I want to get into specifically how you're connected with RAGBRAI. But first, can you just tell us what it's all about?
Yeah, sure. So we're an Iowa-based nonprofit, and we have a mission that's pretty simple. We fund and we install flagpoles in the yards of veterans at no cost. And it was kind of a roundabout way the way we ended up there.
Mm-hmm.
We had a group of about 50 friends, and we would get together a few times a year, and we just wanted to do something to give back, right? We all had kind of a desire for some philanthropic work, but we just couldn't really land on a specific mission. So the same group of guys that eventually led to VFI, we would do things like tear down barns for elderly farmers who weren't able to do that. We did that once. We renovated a bathhouse in Malcolm, Iowa, and we did some tree work for parks in Grinnell, and, you know, would find like single mothers and buy them freezers and fill it full of food. And it was awesome. Everybody loved it. You always felt like your bucket was full, but the problem became, you know, you had all these friends that were kind of spread out across the state. It was hard to get, you know, everybody in the same place at the same time. That was always a little bit of a challenge. And then it was just actually hard to find a recipient. So, yeah, you know, I mean, it was like you had all these guys locked in, ready to go, but it was actually difficult finding the mark for the person who would, you know, benefit from it. So we were probably somewhat flirting with just closing down the idea and going back to life. And we just inadvertently kind of stumbled across this idea, and it was really simple. I mean, and it was, hey, what if we buy a flagpole, find a veteran, and put it in their yard? And everybody's like, yeah, let's try it out. So that's what we did. And our first install was for a 98-year-old Korean War veteran near Center Point. And it was just almost serendipitous, because that installation to work with, you know, to be installing for somebody who'd been in the Korean War.
Right.
And, I mean, that's just like, you know, the forgotten war. And if you've ever read anything about it, or if, you know, if you've had any experience just kind of embedding into what that war was like, it was a tough one. And it's crazy to think that somebody could have gone through that conflict and then come home and in some respects just not even have a flagpole, you know? So it was a great start. The guy's name is Whitey, and he was flagpole number 0001. So we serial number, we do serial numbers on all of our flagpoles, and he was the first one. Yeah, so I mean, that's just, you know, that's how it started. And I think right away, everybody that was there knew that we were on to something, right? I mean, it felt natural. It didn't take up much time. It was something that you could, you know, parcel up and package all over the state and reproduce it and recreate it. And I don't know, it's just been my experience that when things are simple in nature, if you can describe something and it's easy to describe, that it's often easy to action. And I think that's what we've arrived on here. So,
and I've never installed a flagpole myself, but, you know, it seems on the surface pretty simple, right? You dig a hole, you put the pole, and then you hang your flag. But I know it's definitely not that simple. And if you're someone like Whitey, maybe you've always wanted a flagpole, but at 98 years old, he's not going to go out there and get a post hole digger or whatever they're called. So give us an idea of like the process, like the physical process, but then also like, how are you finding veterans who need this?
Sure. You know, we've done this 188 times.
Oh my
now.
gosh.
So,
wow.
Yeah, we've got the process down, and that means that we've done it 188 times, and we're gonna have to go back and fix 188 flagpoles at some point, or we just have this thing figured out. I hope it's the latter, right? So, process is standardized. So a lot of us are ex-military guys, and things work well if you can standardize a process, because there's honestly, you know, infinite ways to install a flagpole, I'm sure. So we have an SOP that we have, and we have our teams that are definitely familiar with it. But the process is relatively straightforward. You know, what we do is we have the veteran, you know, we contact them, and I just made 4 of these phone calls today. They're so fun to make, but we inform the veteran like, hey, you know, we went through our list and you've been selected for a flagpole. And kind of to your point with Whitey, right? When you're talking about him, like, why didn't he ever get a flagpole? You know, it's not even the physical demand for these veterans. It's just that people that are service oriented always take care of themselves last. So almost 100% of the time that we install a flagpole, you can almost mouth it with the veteran that they're going to say, I've always wanted one, but right. And then there's going to be some excuses. So, that part's always fun. That's how it always starts, is with the phone call, just notifying them, that they're going to be the recipient of the flagpole. And we tell them, hey, you're going to get a 20-foot flagpole. It's a telescopic flagpole. So that works really well for these elderly veterans, because they're not forced to, work with ropes and pulleys and lower and all that. It's a really easy flag setup, and super durable, made in America. And then a U.S. flag, an Iowa flag, and a solar powered light. So it's just this easy to use unit that, is a permanent reminder that we care, and it takes care of flag etiquette and all of those things. So, we run them through the process and say, hey, we want you to bring any family or friends that you want there. And they will call, they'll do the utilities on their own. And then we show up that day. And the process overall, this is one of the reasons that volunteering for this organization is, I think, such an impactful thing, is because it only takes 45 minutes of your weekend or a weeknight.
Yeah.
It's really quick on, really quick off. We do everything in a pretty efficient manner. So we have right now 11 tool kits that are spread across the state. So we have 11 what we call team leads, and they'll start the augering process, which is a 12-inch auger, and it takes 2 guys. And most of the time that's easy, but it's Iowa, and under the topsoil, there's always some gem waiting on you, whether it's like a 8-inch root or a skeleton. No, we haven't done that. There's not been that, but rocks and tile and everything else. But most of the time it's pretty slick. We dig the hole, and then we'll have a team that's mixing the concrete simultaneously, and then another team that's just putting the flagpole together. So there's, in terms of like physical demand, it doesn't, you could be big, burly, and strong, or you could just, have been out of surgery a week ago. There's something for everybody to do, even if it's just talking to the veteran, right? That's the most important part. So yeah, we dig the hole, and we put the flags on, and there's kind of always this, this is a special part, is when you go to do the flag presentation, you say, hey, and it just comes from the heart. There's no script to it, but, on behalf of our organization in this country, we want you to know that we appreciate everything you've ever done, and you'll give it to the veteran. And it's always emotional.
I mean, it just I can feel the emotion just in you telling it.
Yeah, wow. It's special, because some of these men and women, they took off the uniform, in some cases 50, 60 years ago, right? And some of them haven't been thanked since then, right? Some of them haven't even thought of their service. So I think it conjures up some emotions and some pride. And that's the magic right there. That is the install. Sure, you leave the flagpole in their yard and they get to look at it every day. But for us, it's like that little slice of time it's magic. So,
right. And the fact that you've done it 188 times, that's significant. Like, you are making a difference in a lot of lives.
We try, it's a like-minded group. Everybody's in it for the right reasons. Everybody genuinely wants to thank these folks, and we've had great success. We really have. So
I guess, we got to get to the big question that people who are listening to this podcast are cyclists. They like RAGBRAI, right. And they're like, I love the idea of this Veteran Flagpole Initiative, but what does it have to do with RAGBRAI? So I think you can tell us.
Yeah. So we're always looking for ways to just be creative and make this fun and hit new markets. So, we have opportunities to get volunteers and just make this fun for the actual process that we're doing. So, I think you can only be in Iowa so long before, you're going to try RAGBRAI and get your attention. And that's just how it happened. We're like, hey, what if, right? What if we just took this show to the road? And we planned it out pretty well. And last year, that's exactly what we did. We took our mission and we got our first ever RAGBRAI team. we had 7 volunteers that were with us,
Mm-hmm.
seven of our most dedicated, and we hooked. 3 of them had trailers. Those were the ones that were always a little cranky at the end of the day because they were hauling
Cement.
supplies. Yeah. And so they were. We hauled some tools and we hauled some swag and we hauled a U.S. flag, and we hit the route, and we over just 2 days we just wanted to kind of do some beta testing to see if was this even a good idea, right? Like was this going to be well received or not? And 2 days, we installed a total of 6 flagpoles, and these are directly on the RAGBRAI route. So if you're off a block, I mean, as you know, the migration path of RAGBRAI is very well defined.
Right.
So if you're off even a block, which actually happened in Fairbank, which was fine, but it's Ghost Town, USA, right? So
well, nobody knows it's happening. You know what I mean? Like they, and even if you would say we'll be in Fairbank, a block off route, well, nobody's familiar with Fairbank, so they probably didn't even think to look.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And we're all a complete volunteer organization, so we don't have like a PR team to get in front of these things. We just didn't even know how it was going to go, but it was awesome. I mean, it was a slam dunk. It was very well received. What I learned is that, no surprise, Iowa's the greatest state in the nation. It's not even close. And the folks that are on that route are great representatives of our state. And that's just what we saw was like their patriotism. They'd stop, they would help, they would clap for the veteran. I mean, it was just that whole process was amazing. And then, another cool offshoot of that was one of our guys, Derek Snakenberg. He is an ultra marathon runner. And what he did was he took our flag that we would install for one of the days, one of the flags that were the U.S. flag, and he ran with it. So he ran 52 miles, and that would have been
on the route?
On the route. So that would have been Charles City to Cedar Falls.
That's amazing. 52 miles. I mean, it's a long ways on a bicycle, but running it and carrying a flag. Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, so we just had kind of like all these awesome variables, and we got done, and the guys were tired, and we did a big debrief, and I didn't know how it was going to go, but it was like when we got the team together, like we want more, right? So that kind of just led to kind of just a funny intertwining of fate, but Matt Phippen, obviously well known in the RAGBRAI world, he has a little bit to do with this ride, I see that he's getting interviewed, and like I said, I'm from Sigourney, didn't grow up cycling. I'd done RAGBRAI a couple days. I'm not a cycling enthusiast, but I saw the name Matt Phippen. I was like, boy, that cannot be the same Matt Phippen. So I took a look at it, and it was. So Matt actually, 100 years ago, when I went to the University of Iowa, was my boss at Shields.
Oh, no way.
Yes. So he was the one. Yep. He's the one who taught me how to sell snowboards and basketball hoops and sleeping bags and everything else. And honestly, he's just a great guy. I mean, back then, and I was like, I wonder if he even remembers. So I gave him a call, kind of talked about what we were doing, and he was just all about it. He's like, hey, look, we want to feed this, and he knew about what we had done last year. So, so then we kind of hit the next phase, and that's where we're at now.
Oh, excellent. So I don't want to spoil it, but let me guess. You're going to be coming back to RAGBRAI 53.
We are.
Yay!
We're getting the band back together. Yes, we are.
That's awesome. Do you have different plans, same plans? Tell us so that we all know about it.
Right. Different plan, a little bit refined this year. We are all in as the name FlagBRAI from here on out.
FlagBRAI.
So we are the FlagBRAI team. And we talked with the RAGBRAI team and said, hey, what's the best fit? Because the plan that we have now is actually what we're looking at is maybe a stepping stone of where we're going to be in the next 2 or 3 years. So we want to continue to grow our efforts, but there's always some limitation with volunteers and funding and those sorts of things. But this year, what we're going to do, and this is really, really going to be special, is we're going to be installing a flagpole in each of the overnight towns and then each of the meeting towns.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So each day we're going to cover 2 flagpoles directly on the route. So the overnight towns is something that we've never done before. This is going to be a new concept, but we're calling it an anthem install. And what that looks like is it's a traditional installation of ours. So we're looking at 45 minutes of labor of doing what we do all the time. But immediately following that, and we're going to do this first thing in the morning, is we're going to have local musicians, local bands, singers, high school bands, whomever, performing the national anthem in the Veterans Yard.
Wow.
Yeah. It's going to be, we think it's going to be really special. So as we go back to that flag concept that I was talking to you about, where we actually hand off the U.S. flag to the veteran, now we're incorporating the national anthem as that flag is raised for the veteran. And we want anybody and everybody interested who's on RAGBRAI to be there in support of it too.
I was just going to say, how can riders participate? And for sure, just being there and seeing it is, an easy way for all of us to be part of.
Just put yourself in that veteran's shoes, right? Let's say you were a Vietnam veteran, and very well documented how they were treated when they got home, and it's been 50 years and you've never been really appropriately thanked. And then one morning you come out and, there's hundreds of people there singing the national anthem in your yard to thank you for what you've done.
Wow.
Electric, right? So
I've got the goosebumps right now.
Yeah, it's gonna. Yeah, we you can't mess this up. This has got to be perfect. So we've got a great planning team on this. And it's been our experience with, we're relatively green in RAGBRAI, obviously, but it's really hard to lock down a time on a route throughout the day in RAGBRAI. But there is a really good opportunity to plan something that you can launch your day from, right? So let's say you're riding 2 days or every day, but if you know that this organization every day is going to be installing a flagpole on the route from the overnight town, you can plan accordingly. Go there, watch the install, watch the end of the install, whatever, however much you join in on the install, right? Even if it's just shoveling some concrete, right? If it's talking to the veteran, we'll hand anything over to anybody who wants to help. But just to be there for the national anthem, which means so much to veterans like myself and, so many, would be a really special way to kickstart anybody's day. So. Right.
And keep in mind, this is March, so we have several months before RAGBRAI actually hits. So we'll be, whether it's AP on social media or Matt himself, will be giving you listeners more information as it becomes available. But for right now, I would maybe put it in, not even in the back of your mind, put it in the front of your mind that if you're on RAGBRAI, so you've got 8 overnight towns. That means plus the meet towns. You've got multiple opportunities. If maybe you're somebody that likes to get on the road at 6 a.m., you may miss a morning, but there could be a morning when you say, all right, whatever time this flagpole initiative is happening, I'm going to stick around and see it before I get on my bike. So there's lots of opportunities. And I doubt, Eric, you are going to be able to handle if all 10,000 of us show up. So
we like a challenge, right? We can just put the auger aside and everybody can just get a handful, right? Yeah,
exactly.
We'll enable anybody who's there.
Yeah. When you look at this whole program, I feel like I already know, but I still want to ask it. Why is this initiative important to you?
I served for 24 years with the Iowa National Guard and retired. And, in some respects, I still sometimes feel like I'm just not a bystander, but just a fan, right? I know what I've done, but I also know what these other veterans have done, right? And it's so many veterans serve, and they get out and they're actually full in mind, body, and spirit. They get out, and not all of them, obviously. I mean, there's definitely veterans who serve, and we all know that there's loss of limb and the horrors of loss of life that we've seen, right? But many of these veterans, they take off the uniform for the last day, and then they just resume their civilian lives. And why this is important to me is because whether you did 6 months and you got chaptered out because you were pregnant, which we've installed for that, or if you served for 35 years and retired, it's just so great to just open up those feelings one time and watch that person receive just a formal thank you, right? Not a passing by. It's this lasting memento that they have, that they can look out of their rocking chair every day, or every day that they pull in from work, or if they're playing with their grandkids, they can look at this flagpole. And even if it's just for a split second, they look at it and they know that they're appreciated.
Right. And they're going to remember that moment, or that 45 minutes when somebody was in their front yard. They cared enough to make this a big deal.
Absolutely.
I love it. Yeah.
And one of the other, we've done other things kind of like RAGBRAI. So last year, we would call them campaigns, but there's 3 days each year that we quote unquote own, right? We really want to make these days special. It's Flag Day, RAGBRAI, and Veterans Day. Those are the days that we get all of our resources locked and loaded. Everything's consolidated for one purpose, it's just to serve as many veterans as we can in that short amount of time, right? So last year on Flag Day, this really kind of came home because we identified 33 Vietnam veterans. And we installed flagpoles for them all over Northwest Iowa. And then we brought them back to Waverly, which is where I live now. And we took them out on pontoon boats. And we took these Vietnam veterans who they're an aging population. And it was even challenging getting them onto boats, to be honest with you. But we took them out for an hour and a half boat ride. And when they came back on dock, there was 500 people there giving them a welcome home.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a band playing, the Waverly Municipal Band. We had a fire truck with the biggest U.S. flag that you can make, hoisted over. And we gave them the thank you that they had never had, many of them. And it's intoxicating. It's addictive, right? It's service. That's what this state does. We take care of our neighbors. And once you start doing this, you just can't really, you can't quit in some respects.
And the need will not go away. It will always be, there will always be veterans.
Absolutely.
Amazing. I love it. And you told us about Whitey, and also the boat ride in Waverly is mind-blowing in itself. But any other success stories that you want to share?
Yeah. For Veterans Day 2 years ago, we identified a veteran in each town in Keokuk County. So we ended up doing a total of 24 installations that day, but every single town in Keokuk County, we went out on Veterans Day and installed a flagpole for a veteran in that town. So that was a special one. We had everybody come back for a hog roast that night, and it was just, typical Southeast Iowa stuff, but it was a great time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that was very, very special. And, it's, I'd say some of the more gut-wrenching ones are when you're doing tribute installations for veterans that aren't with you anymore, right? There was a great couple in Pella, and their son was, 18 or 19 years old, and he died in a training accident. And we put a flagpole in for them, and that tugs on the heartstrings. And we've done that a few times, so those installations are success stories. But I would say ultimately just organizationally pulling people in and giving them an opportunity to serve. I think that's been success, because the reality is people want to do their part. It's just sometimes a little bit foggy. You don't know what organization to do, what's the real mission. And I think it goes back to where we started talking, where things are just simple in our organization, and it's 45 minutes of a weekend, and we do them all over the state. So I'm really proud of our team, just the organizational skills, the vision, and staying true to what we do. I think that, I'm really proud of the team that we have. So
yeah. And I'm hearing that there's a little bit of sweat equity in it. You're doing things physically, but where does funding come from?
None of us want to ask for money.
Well, right.
So what we've never asked, we've never put our hand out and said, "Hey, can you donate to this?" Here's kind of our mantra, right? Is if you do things the Iowa way, if you do things ethically, and you do them the right way, and you're serving the people that you say you're going to serve, that things come back proportionally. And what we found is just, people see it and they're moved. And there's many days that I'll go to my mailbox and there'll be a check for $20. Sometimes there's a check for $1,000. Sometimes we have a family trust that has pledged $5,000 each year for us.
Wow.
That's huge for us, right? That's
right.
That really lets us get to work. Cargill has been an amazing partner. There's a lady named Molly Bruns, and we had installed a flagpole for her husband, and kind of out of reciprocity, she had the passion and helped us, and we had a check for $11,000 from them. Vermeer just,
wow.
Yeah, their charitable foundation was so gracious and gave us a check for $20,000 this year, right? So it comes. None of us are ever gonna ask for money. It doesn't feel right. It's all volunteer based. None of us do this for a living. We all carve time out of our schedule, but all of that money gets put directly back into the effort. We don't have, hardly any overhead at all. And, we've got a goal, actually. I don't think we will finish it this year, but we call it Operation 99. And Operation 99 is we're going to capstone it this year, but it's putting a flagpole for a veteran in each of Iowa's 99 counties.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
so
amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you can't hit what you're not aiming at, right? So that was one of our first goal was actually to put a flagpole in all 4 corner counties. So Fremont, Alameda, Lee, and Lyon. We knocked that one out in the first year. And we've got 21 counties left on Operation 99, which we should get done this year. So, these funds that we get allow us to do what we love to do, right? So, yeah.
I think now is a good time to tell everybody the website, because, at some point people might be thinking that they either want to volunteer, or they know a veteran, or they have a little money they want to send your way. So.
Sure. Yeah. So our website is our one-stop shop. It'll show you pictures. It'll show you our mission. It'll give you updates on Operation 99. There's an interactive map on the bottom of the front of the homepage that you can see every installation that we've done. That is where you can sign up to volunteer. And that's big. For us, the focus is actually shifting to volunteers, because the reality is when you get passionate volunteers, everything else comes in proportion, right? So it's a 3-legged stool between funds, volunteers, and veteran submissions. And right now, I would say if we're running lean on anything, we're running lean on volunteers. So anybody in any part of this state, or Texas and Montana, we have teams there now too, and one popping up in Lake of the Ozarks. If they have interest in it, I mean, you've heard what we do, and you just go on the website and you sign up, and I mean, we get those right away. I mean, it's a small organization. We see them right away, and we just start feeding volunteer opportunities. And that's also, there's donation information on the website where you can send checks or PayPal or Venmo. And that's also where you can nominate veterans for submissions down the line. These veterans that go on we call them our battle roster, but these are veterans that are out there right now waiting for a flagpole to be sourced with money and volunteers. So that bench right now is at about 220 veterans. So
wow.
yeah.
And what was the website?
It's veteranflagpoles.org. So veteran singular, VETERAN, flagpoles with an S.org.
We will for sure be doing some social media posts once we get closer to RAGBRAI time, or I'm sorry, FlagBRAI time. And once you kind of nail down where you're going to be, I think that will be as helpful as we can to get the word out, because I know I want to be part of it. I know there's plenty of people listening to this podcast that either are veterans or know veterans or would just really want to support this.
That's awesome. We appreciate, we appreciate the support from this podcast. I mean, we really do. And, for RAGBRAI to trust us and let us do our mission and get ingrained with it, it's super special.
Yeah. And so your goal is all 99 counties. Is it by the end of 2026?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
That means you've got to be on next year. You've got to be on the podcast to tell us if you've completed.
We'll give you the recap of Operation 99, and we'll let you know about our next angle, what we're going for next.
Perfect. And it goes without saying, but thank you for your service as a veteran. I appreciate that. And, now you're going the extra step and making a difference in a lot of veterans' lives.
Well, I appreciate that, Murph. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And thank you for coming on the podcast, Eric. This has really been awesome.
I can't believe my daughter and dogs, both my daughters, behaved this entire time. I've never been left alone for this long of my entire fatherhood. So
that's awesome.
Well, listeners, that is it for today. We want to thank you for tuning in to listen to the Just Go Bike podcast. If you would like to contact Murph and AP with a comment about the podcast, or maybe even you have a topic in mind, you can reach us at justgobikepodcast@gmail.com. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook and watch our intros on YouTube. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, especially if you're a fan. That is going to do it for this week. Until next time,
Just go bike!
Theme song by Ryan Steer, logo by Suzanne Milosevic, produced by Kathy Murphy, social media by Andrea Parrott, intro by Pumpkin. Until next time, just go bike.